All right. Hey, it's Andrew Ribley with Vibe Realty, and welcome to the Drop Zone podcast. Thank y'all for dropping in.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
I like that drop zone. That's cute.
Yeah. And you know what that's from?
Yeah, military.
Yeah.
Airborne.
Yep, airborne all the way.
That's
So, so thanks. Please introduce yourself and your company and all that.
So Anna Mantooth with Vibe, and my team is Red Rock Hills Realty Group, and so happy to be here.
Good. Thank you.
So Elise Smith, I'm with Echelon Virtual Realty Assistants. We work with Search Dog Digital, which is my husband and I's company, which is digital marketing. So kind of a nice partnership there.
Yep, good partnership. So it's good working with both of you guys, and that's why I thought it'd be perfect to have y'all on the podcast, and we'll kind of chat about that amongst everything, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing off limits or whatever y'all want to talk about.
Yeah.
So we were talking, I thought, well, let me do this first. So always kind of part of the deal is that tell me something fascinating about yourself.
Okay.
That really nobody would probably know, or I wouldn't know. Tell me something fascinating.
Oh God, that's.
I know
hard.
it's putting you on the spot a little
Yeah.
bit, and either one of y'all can go first if you know something, you know.
Gosh, I don't know.
Something you wouldn't know about me, maybe. I coach basketball,
Oh, interesting.
fifth grade and first grade boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
That is interesting. I did that.
Yep, this is my third season coaching.
Wow, good for you.
First season with first grade boys. It's
Interesting.
Gosh.
it's very difficult going backwards.
Yeah.
So I've
For
been
sure.
with the same boys third, fourth, and now fifth grade.
Right.
And then I started again with my youngest in first grade as an assistant, and I'm like, oh gosh, you guys don't know how to dribble.
Yeah.
you progress with them, and you're like, all right, cool. Now we
Yep.
can do some,
Yeah.
posting and box out drills, and now you got to go back.
Oh,
to
like fifth grade
dribbling.
basketball is like real basketball. I
Yeah.
mean, they're full court press. It's,
Oh, yeah.
They're at the free throw line. It's a 10-foot goal.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
vicious.
Right. Yeah.
And first graders are like, some of them are like, that's my friend. I can't hurt him. And then other ones are like, my kid is like tackling.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I did the same thing when my kids were growing up, and I'm not a basketball guy. I know nothing about it. Know how to play horse, but they're like, no, you'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
it's elementary school, and I'm like, okay, I'll help. And
Yeah.
and it was so much fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah, right on,
We
cool.
need you to herd cats. That's what that is.
Yes.
You don't have to
Yes.
know anything. Just keep the
absolutely-
kids in check.
Is absolutely what
Yep.
that is.
Yeah. I guess if I could name something in lieu of sports, I'm a huge Chiefs fan because I was born in Kansas,
Oh.
and my
did not know
uncle,
that.
most of my aunts and uncles got scholarships for basketball or football to Kansas City State University.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so that's a fun fact. So go Chiefs! I hope they win the Super Bowl. I'm super huge fan. So yeah. So
Right on.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were born in Kansas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was Overland Park, Kansas, but I moved here on my second birthday. We moved into my house
Okay.
that my parents still live in today. So Georgia is my home.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Adopted home. Overland
Yes.
Park. So that's a famous place, right? Why do I know that name?
Yeah, you know, it's really popular, and so a lot of people I meet who are from Kansas live or have lived in Overland Park.
Yeah.
So a lot of my family still live there. So another fun fact is I have 12 aunts and 12 uncles, and I have 27 first cousins.
Wow.
So there's a lot of them there. Yeah.
Fertile.
Yes. Yes.
Kind of
yes.
like Kansas.
That's right. That's
Fertile
right.
ground.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So one of my son's good friends that he grew up with and played football with and everything through high school just moved out there. So
Okay.
and got married and all that. So I keep up with him. But he's
a great place.
just moved out to Kansas. Loves it.
Yeah.
Loves
Very
it.
good.
He's a big Chiefs fan too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting. So all right, cool. Good
Yeah.
place. I tell you, I always think Midwest people are the nicest people.
Yes.
You know, they always say Southern people are, which I think they are.
Yeah.
I think that older Southern
Mm-hmm.
kind of charm and hospitality is not as much as it used to be because
Yeah.
we're such a, we're such an implant now.
Yeah.
We're such a,
Melting
if
pot.
that's the right, a melting pot from all over. A lot up north, but I've always thought Midwestern people are the nicest people.
Yeah. I call them salt of the earth, and I
Salt
agree.
of the
They're
earth.
just the kind of people who you could go to a total stranger and ask for help, and they wouldn't
Yep.
even hesitate.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, Canadians are that way too.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, cool. Well, So yeah, I mean, we were just talking about, how to do some things and get some stuff done and kind of marketing, like your signs and how you do it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I like that because I definitely like when, like we talk about stuff in the mastermind, which I love to introduce stuff in here on that. And that's very psychological and sort of what motivates and drives you, and so I dig that kind of stuff. But I believe in planning because, if you fail to plan, you plan to, is that right?
Yeah.
You fail to plan. Yeah. You plan to fail. And so I like that, but I do not get, it's Monday morning, so it's hard coming to me, but I don't get paralysis by analysis. I'm ready to plan a little bit and then go. I don't get hung up on the planning stage and then never make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to go at some point. Maybe it's too soon sometimes, but I definitely like doing that. So I like the topic we were talking about, like signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you had an issue where you have some signs and
Yeah.
you engage. You guys have where you want to list something. Is that what it is for a
Yeah.
listing? And you don't have the signs yet.
Right.
So he doesn't have them.
Yep.
So how do you do that, And I love workarounds.
Yes.
It's like you got to make it happen. You cannot go,
Yeah.
well, we'll just have to wait on it. No, you don't. It's business. It's there. You got to go. Let's
Right.
make it happen.
Get
Right.
it done.
Get it done.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great term.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and as a real estate coach, that was always the problem for any newbie agent. Well, I'm not ready because I don't have my signs, I don't have my business cards,
Right
I don't
on.
have my lock boxes, and I'm like, just go get the business and we'll figure out the rest.
You bet.
And that's the truth. I mean,
It is.
if you hesitate, because often it takes money to get the sign, to get the lock box, and et cetera. So
Sure.
get the business, we'll figure out the rest.
Right.
And so, like we were talking, if you have to borrow a sign, we'll borrow a sign. I
Yeah.
mean, most people nowadays are not getting your name and number off of a sign in the yard. They're getting it off of social media. So,
That's right.
or because they know you. So
That's right.
it's like, don't worry if your name's not on it. We'll figure that part out. We'll get there. But
For sure.
go
And-
get the business.
And do you think the sign is a huge part anyway? I mean, I think it feels like more of a huge part than, because I think I'm trying to think I've certainly got calls from
Yeah.
signs
Yeah.
on the realtor side.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's that huge of a part of it. I think because they probably have a realtor if they're really looking to buy and they're finding it in the FMLS and they're calling you from the information on the FMLS, right?
I mean, I think for sure your name and number need to be on it. So, Elise had gave a good example of just getting a sticker that you can write your name or have it printed name and number. Like that's the most crucial piece,
Sure.
so they can call you when they do happen to stop in front of the house and want to know more information. But I see all these fancy signs with these giant bodies of pictures of the people on it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm personally driving by, all I see is their face, and then I don't see the name and the number, and that's what's most important. I feel like you need, because I'm gonna remember the name. I'm not gonna so much remember your face. Like I need to know how to get a hold of you. So if I were not an agent when I'm driving by a house, what needs to stand out more, your face or your name and number? And I feel like it's your name and number.
Well, functionally, I
Yeah.
would think the name and number,
Yeah.
but the sign, for sure, the signs are. That's what I say. I think we put a lot of emphasis on it. Like I want to do what is that old glamour shot? And
Yeah.
do an old glamour shot and put all that up there. And hey,
Yes.
look at my signs, and they're all cool. And you see those, and I always think how crazy. I'm like you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what the name was, and I don't know what the number
Right.
was.
Yeah.
Just practically, if it's big block letters, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
Anna or that's
Yeah.
Andrew. Okay, and I get the number.
Right.
Call and find out. That's what matters. But it's not that I don't like the other stuff. I just don't know how functional.
Well, and one of the top agents this in 2023 in Woodstock, has the most basic signs you'll ever see. They don't have the fancy arm or none of that. They're just a metal post with
Yeah.
her sign, and it's not her picture. It's just her name and her phone number, and obviously her branding, and that's it. And
Right.
and she probably does 10 listings a month.
Yeah.
And you would think she'd have a really fancy, because she has the budget for it, but no, for her it's not worth it, so she just does simplistic signs, and I think
Yeah.
it shows. Like you don't need the big fancy sign. I think these agents who go run around and get these big signs with the big arms, like they're good for a really high end listing, but
For
in
sure.
general it's not worth the money.
You can stab it in the yard and be done with it.
Be done.
I think consistency is the most important thing, and
Oh, yeah.
being consistent in your branding, like using the same fonts, the same color schemes,
Yes.
because that's going to say oh, I saw this agent stuff, and then I recognized it on social media, and then I saw, this in a magazine. I got
Right.
this mailer, and I'm like, I've seen this several times. It's ringing a bell, and just kind of keeping with it, and you're like, oh, I've seen that before. Just that brand recognition and staying with it. So simplistic.
Yeah.
It's always easy to be brand recognizable. Being
True.
simplistic.
That makes sense with all the busyness of everything going on. You just want it to be simple and, like you said, consistent. Yeah, I think you're right.
Like you don't want to use, one font on your sign and then start using something completely different on your social media stuff. And then, you get an ad in a paper and you're like, I'm going to use something totally different than both of those.
It's like you have ADD and you're like, oh, I like this today and that tomorrow.
It's like
and
you have 3 different designers. Or you're just copy pasting from something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, I like that. And in fact, that's why I use you guys, to do it, because my signature block, my marketing, my social media, everything is sort of that same thing for branding purposes, so if you see it, and actually you guys came up with the ARS Home Pro, my build company. And so, and I'll tell you, people go, they'll call me or they'll hit me up on like social media, and I'm big on LinkedIn, and they'll be like, I see your company, ARS Home Pro. And I'm like, well, it really ain't my company's. I don't tell them this, but I'm like, yeah, of course. What do you, what's going on? My company's AR Services. It's AR Services LLC. And it's a build company and an investment company and real estate and all that. But y'all branded it to ARS Home Pro, and that's what people think, And it's interesting because when people want me to, because I'm also licensed in commercial. And so it's funny when I send them my block. Sometimes I'll take my signature block off and I'll put just my regular signature block on there if it's a commercial client, because I'm like, I don't think I'm just, just residential.
Yeah.
Because I do commercial stuff too.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. But that's how good branding is.
Right.
I think smart.
Yeah.
For sure. And I like your Red Rock.
Yeah. So I grew up in, we were talking about born in Kansas, grew up in Georgia, and my parents still live in the house I grew up in. And the neighborhood is Red Rock Hills. And so, because it's so sentimental to me at this point, I still go home, and my parents saw my childhood bedroom. So I thought Red Rock Hills Realty Group, because it's where I lived and everything. So.
And where is Red Rock Hills?
It's in
You've
Kennesaw.
told me, and I can't remember.
Yeah, it's in Kennesaw off Duess Road. It's like Duess Road will eventually run into 92 over on the Paulding side, and right when you hit 92 you turn into Paulding County.
Okay.
So we're like 5 minutes from Paulding County, but still in the Kennesaw.
Close to like Brookstone.
Yes,
and
very
out that
close.
way?
We are right near the entrance of Brookstone 2.
Okay.
On Mars Hill Road, and then just beyond is Brookstone 3.
Yeah.
But it's the intersection of Mars Hill and Duess Road. Just I could walk there from the front entrance of our neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know you went. Did you go to Harrison?
Yeah, Harrison High School. Yeah. I always say, go Hoyas. My daughter makes fun of me, but
So, what's funny is, like, I didn't know you were going to be here today.
Yeah.
But I've seen your sign.
Have you?
So, like, I've seen some of your advertisements, like Red Rock Hills.
Yeah.
And I've seen it.
How cool is that?
Nice.
Yep.
Good.
It's like I think it was at a baseball park.
Yeah.
Like I saw
Yes.
it. Yep.
Hobgood. I do. I am the agent. They're allowed 2 signs for agents, so I bought both.
Did
so
you really?
Both of my
So
signs,
smart.
Yeah. So both spots are taken by myself.
Wow.
So yeah. So I am the real estate agent at Hopgood. I'm trying to be. So I do the spring and the fall festival there too. And so I have a booth and everything. And
I know your booth. That's so cool. Well, and that's why I wanted y'all. Y'all are so good at marketing. That's why I was like, y'all would be a good mix together here, because y'all understand those things, and it's important, and it's not that difficult.
No.
So I do a class like I forget what it's called. It's Monday morning. So, but it's actually a CE class on how to set your business up and how to run it and everything. Yeah. And I touch on your marketing stuff. Get your marketing and make it, like you said, consistent and all that. And then I always I don't know how you say it, pimp you guys out. And I'm always like, hey, let's, give them a call. Well, I've got somebody that will do it for you. They'll create it and do the whole thing like you did for me. And it's easy. Yeah. And it's not super expensive, It's like, I don't know if people have like a misconception. And to be honest, I kind of did. It's like, have you ever seen the show Mad Men?
Yes.
I've seen the
like 1950s.
1950 ad agencies in New York.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
I love that show too. But you think of as agency work, and it's going to be just
Expensive.
thousands and 1000s, and you got to sign loan contracts and commitments, and it's not.
No.
And it's quick.
We're month to month. We do.
Yeah.
We set up your brand package. So we were like, here are your fonts, here are your colors. You give us access to all your media, your social media logins. So we're like, we just go on and post it for you. So you can be as hands-on or hands-off as you
Wonderful.
want. I mean, we've got agents that are like, I do not care what you put out.
Right.
I do it all. I don't care. Just make it pretty, make it informative.
This guy.
And then we've got people that are
I
like, hey, this month, could you touch on escalation clauses? Could you touch on, give us a couple seller tips, give us a couple buyer tips, that kind of thing. So we've got a really good mix of clients who are like, some of them are, nope, don't want to touch it. I don't care. I don't want to care. Like, you do it. This is why I pay you to do it. But it's affordable. It's not like, it's not an outrageous price. It's, we're there to be of assistance. So
So do you come up with the logos, or if so, somebody like a new agent's like, hey, I need a logo.
They'll create everything.
Yep. Okay. We do logos, email signatures, letterheads,
I should have gone to y'all. I went to Fiverr and
stickers.
Now I can't find my guy.
Well, you might talk to them about like merging it or whatever. They're super good. I mean, you've got Karen, and you were good on all that. I don't do it. Like, I don't have a Facebook personally or an Instagram personally. And I did recently get on X or Twitter because Elon bought it. So I'm like, all right, I'll get on there. But I know nobody. I don't have anybody I know. I look at videos like Steve Inman and just funny videos. It's like people trying to rob people in Pakistan, and some dude comes out, and there's sound effects over it.
Oh, okay, nice.
And he's commentating. It's hilarious, And they beat the crap out of the criminal. The good guys always win in his stuff, so it's funny. And
that's funny.
That's all I do with it, though. But like, they do all my stuff. Like, I have Facebook for my company and Instagram and LinkedIn. I mean, I don't even know what all they do, to be honest. And I don't care. They do it, and people call me. I said, just put my number out there. I want them to call, And it works.
That's
but
awesome.
it's so easy, and it's very affordable.
Yeah. And we stay in compliance, so we make sure everything is how it's supposed to be. We're not
super good point.
We're not going on putting stuff on the internet that's going to get you into trouble with crack or anything.
So. Which is a great point, which I want to talk about for a minute, because most of us, I've been doing it a long time, and even Bradley's a broker, or compliance broker. And there's times that on the marketing side that y'all know stuff that we don't know. We're more compliance on, making sure contracts and things like that are compliant. But the whole marketing compliancy is a big deal. Like, a lot of times when we're in the meetings, I'm like, let's do that. Like, you can't do that. And I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
I want to do that. That's where I want to go. It's like, you can't, because they won't let you. Like when you're looking for clients or recruiting and certain things, and there's whatever reasons, but whether you agree with them or not, you don't want to. You don't want to be sideways and get yourself in trouble, or have and so I think having somebody that not only posts and does it and knows that side of things is smart.
Yeah,
it's like me building a house. I mean, you can build your own house.
Yeah.
You can YouTube everything about building a house. Good luck.
Yeah,
your house is not going to look like my house would be.
Right.
And that's it, right? Because it's not just that. It's not just the actual practical knowledge of something. It's like knowing all the stuff that goes around it. For me, code compliance in building is huge, and so for realtors, it's amazing.
Yeah, like how to use the tools that you're given.
Yeah.
So like the biggest thing I see is agents will put a listing on there, and it's like, oh, here's the price and here are the specs, but there's no contact information. There's no MLS number. There's nothing that says like. There's no broker information. You're like,
no broker.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Are you the homeowner?
Right. Yeah, for real.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something that we take really seriously. We make sure everything is in compliance. And
that's
captioning, all of it is.
That's what I love about you guys. And then if you, as an agent or whatever, if I want to go and post stuff, well, cool. That's just more stuff posted. It's just more content out there, right?
Yeah.
But they're making sure. So delegation is a wonderful thing to me,
Absolutely.
And working with somebody that does that kind of stuff is fantastic.
And like our base packages is 2 times a week, posting 2 times a week. And really, that's just saying, "Hey, I'm active on social media."
Sure.
You know, so when someone clicks on your page, they're like, "Oh, they are. They're a real realtor who's practicing today."
So what's
They're
your
not-
base? Like, what's just a base price somebody
So
could
like
start out at?
base price
monthly.
2 posts a week on Facebook and Instagram is $125. So $125. We create it all. We
month.
post it all. That
Okay.
includes
Yeah,
captions.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Code compliance, doing
Yep.
that. Then they a la
Yep.
carte stuff. Like if
Right.
you want
Yeah.
them to
Flyers,
create
home
flyers,
books,
all your
Videos, reels, all of it. Yeah. We
It's
do it all
phenomenal.
A to Z.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've got contract to close, listing services. I mean, anything you could need to help you as an agent. We offer assistance.
Yeah,
And it's
and-
all virtual. So it's not like we have to come to your office.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
We do. We enjoy
Right.
visits.
See, I'm an office person, and so I have
too.
an office inside of Vibe's office,
too.
but I'm rare. You know, we have I don't think it's like 30 agents now or something.
do.
But and so me, Bradley, and Andrew, usually the few in the office.
Yep.
Occasionally people get pop-ins, but
Yep.
that's normal. So I think the virtual thing is a good option
Yeah.
because I think most people they appreciate real estate for the flexibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So that's awesome.
It is, and also I want to tell people out there that anybody that watches this, like, I'm not just kind of pumping you up because you're on the podcast. I use it for Vibe, and I use it for AR services. I mean,
Right.
I got two,
Right.
you know, 2 deals that they do for me,
Yeah.
and I think it's invaluable, you know,
Yeah.
and it's one of those deals you have to get your head around that branding and marketing isn't a thing to where it's necessarily a lead gen. It's a more of a supportive deal,
Yeah.
right? It makes you legit.
Yes.
Like usually the calls are easy when somebody calls me. They're like, "I see your stuff,
Yeah.
so you must be legit."
Yeah.
Because you're out there doing it, which is kind of true because
Yeah.
you know I think people go, if you've been around a while and you're doing it and you're branded well, you must be doing something right because you're able to fund these things and do that. You know what I mean? And you're not some fly by night like pop in and guy pops out like, "Yeah, just start. I'm doing this and then I'm gone again."
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those legit kind of
Right.
things. So most people are like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's all about building your brand and making people aware of it.
Yeah.
Seeing your name pop up. I'm a big fan of grassroots marketing, getting your
Yes.
name out, word of mouth.
Organic.
Yes.
Best
You know,
way.
telling your neighbor like, "This dude sold my home." Like,
Yep.
good dude, good guy. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then that's where branding comes in too, right? Because then it's one of those deals to where it's like, "Hey, man, have you seen Anna?" It's like, you know, and like, I don't know, you know, Red Rock, you know, and it's like, oh wait, just like you just did. It's like, oh wait, yeah, maybe I have seen that.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
starts kind of tied. It's like, okay, yeah, man,
Yeah.
I've seen her stuff forever.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
she's been doing it a while. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So it just sort of seats in confidence for people, you know, and I think it probably, I don't know if there's a metric out there, but it probably does something to help your closure rate and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
because it's funny it's one of the things that, you know, we do is lead gen. And it took me a while to really get that, like, you know, I just want to get the people and talk to them that are ready to go like that. And that is a unicorn.
Yeah.
You know, it's just rare
Yes.
that you get, unless it's somebody from your sphere, and usually
Right.
they just call out of nowhere. But
Right.
the cool thing was if you've been branding, you've been top of mind. I just had somebody that I helped probably 10 years ago. We're friends of ours. Our kids grew up together, and our kids went to college and all that. And they called me up, and I guarantee you they see my stuff.
Yep.
So it sort of is me staying in touch
Yeah.
with my people,
Absolutely.
right?
You definitely, I mean, top of mind is the magic word that I think we often coach around too. And so it's how do you stay top of mind with your sphere? Yes, because those are the awesome unicorns that just call you and you don't even have to chase them down.
Yep.
But then when you do start making phone calls, because I do a lot of lead gen,
Yep.
and so I have to call my database, but most of my database comes from Hopgood, and they don't really know me. They just met me at the the baseball
Yeah, of
park.
course.
And I door knock a lot, which is a unicorn of a real estate world in itself. And
It
so
is. I want to
Yeah.
talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit. She is the door knock queen.
yeah. But
She has embraced
So
it.
my phone calls are like, "Hey, so I knocked your door like a couple months ago," and they always remember me because it's how many times times has anybody who's watching this had a real estate agent knock their door? Usually the answer
Yeah.
is none.
Yeah.
So when I call, they'll remember who I am because it's
Right.
rare. Or if at Hobgood, when I do the fall festival, part of my branding there is when I'm behind my booth, I wear a huge tutu and a big hat because it identifies me. And so I'm like, I was
Right.
a crazy real estate agent wearing the tutu. Oh yeah, I remember you. But when I start calling, I call once a quarter, my entire database, and so it's a dedication. It takes a lot of time, but
Yeah.
it pays off because the first phone call, it's like, oh yes, I remember you because I just saw you a month ago or last quarter.
Yeah.
And then I call again, and they're like, oh yeah, hey Anna. And then by the fourth call, they're like, they know me.
Right.
They think they know me. They don't really know me, but they feel like they do because I'm calling them.
Of course.
And my calls are always friendly because I always tell my people that you show up first as Anna Mantooth, second real estate agent. And so I feel
right.
like that's a really important part of branding.
Yeah.
And so when I call them, it's really more, right now I'm just calling to say, hey, who do you know that I need to know that small business that can help my business
Yeah.
and help my people. And those are friendly phone calls because
Well,
then
it's
people
consistency, like you were talking about, right?
And consistency. And so
That's huge.
I know when my mom had her 70th birthday party, she had a ton of people there that I've known most of my life or have known me.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up and became an adult and really kind of fell away. And so one of the questions during our Tina trivia that we played was, what do your daughters do? And they didn't know anything my sister did, but they knew, everybody said, real estate! And I'm like, I'm doing my job well because
Right.
I talk to them like randomly.
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, so branding, I do think, because when you think of a real estate agent, you want to, I want them to think of me when, you know, and same with
Sure.
when you're a realtor and you want to join a company, we want them
Right.
to think of Vibe. And when they're a builder, you want them to think of, you
Of
know,
course.
AR services. And so,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, top of mind.
That's a huge
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
I love what you just said too, you know, and you know, I always say it. And have you been to the mastermind?
No.
I hope you'll come sometime.
Yeah.
It's so one of the things I always say in it is, this is your life. You know what I mean? Like, this is your life. And I know, like, I have to try and get people, and it's hard, and words are hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I mean it more profound than that. Like, yeah, no, it's my life, dude. I'm living it. You know what I mean? We're here, but it's like this isn't just a podcast, and like I think we put stuff in such a linear deal that like we're here to podcast. So I did a podcast. You lived your life. Every minute you were here was just a minute of your life. You know what I mean? So it's important that you sort of embrace that and I don't like to look at things like, what was my business, you know, life, or that was just business, or this was just that. And I'm like, yeah, it was kind of all just your life. There's just one clock going, and that is your life, you know, no matter what you're doing.
Yep.
And I love that you just said that. I show up as Anna Mantooth.
Yeah. Everywhere I go, I'm Anna Mantooth,
Yeah.
realtor. But first, Anna Mantooth.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
and if you got any sense at all in your business, you know, whatever
Yeah.
your business is, you're going to introduce, tell them who you are, and that's
Yeah.
who you are. But I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I love trying to get that point across, and it is
Yeah.
difficult to figure without being weird. You know,
Right.
it's like I'm not like the super Zen guy. You know what I mean? I'm not some hippie on, you know, doing yoga on a rock somewhere. You know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is which would be
So
super.
I just got a really great visual.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Like,
which would be
like the
super.
rock outside of Reformation, that playground. Like that's what I
in a spandex bodysuit doing
in
yoga
the vibe
move.
suit. It's the vibe suit.
That's
All right, that's a
Would
reel
that
that
be-
we're gonna make this summer.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, would that be some good branding or what?
Yeah.
You
can
might
do a
get banned from
V
the
for
park.
vibe. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? We talked about doing a V suit.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Like
we
the,
did.
you know the,
Yeah.
you know the tight little
Like
things
the
you
morph
pull.
suits.
What are they called?
Morph suits.
Morph suits.
That
And
the
have
blue
like-
guys and
Have a blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have blue with a big V like the Vibe guy.
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
Mickey Mouse hands or something.
well,
I
and we
don't know
talked
what.
about doing more branding in downtown Woodstock, so we got it. Andrew in a blue suit on the rock doing yoga.
rough looking, but I'll do it. I'm in. I'm in. I may need to get a little bit loose on that and have a couple
We'll go to
of beers or
Reformation
something.
first.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, and I think that's fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Have fun with it and all that.
Right.
And it's not like, hey, this is what I have to do and I got to do this. And it's like, truly, you ain't got to do anything.
Right.
You should be doing what you like. And if
Absolutely.
you do that, and I think that's what's wonderful about you and knocking doors and doing
Yeah.
stuff, because most people are like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Like we said, coming into this podcast, like, you know, if you're kind of extroverted, you don't mind talking and doing things. But it's like some people have to get up for that. And so like you don't, you're just, you're naturally, open and extroverted and talking to people and, don't take it personally. And that is a perfect thing for you to do, you know,
for sure.
Especially because most people don't do it.
Right. And that's one of my part of my scripts is when I'll say, well, let me ask you this: how many real estate agents have knocked your door? And I've never gotten the answer. One or two. No, it's always none. Yeah.
Nobody does
and
that.
so I say, well, then who do you know that's going to fight as hard as I would? Because I will knock a door to find you a house, and I'll knock a door to sell your house.
That's fantastic.
Because I do it every day.
Yes.
So why wouldn't I do it for you?
That's fantastic.
You don't get any good door knockers. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, I can cut your grass.
Right.
Like, you just did that. So.
Yeah. Or roofer,
Like, I don't want to buy
solar
your
panel.
magazine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a Girl Scout? Then go on.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is, if you show up authentically as just yourself, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
People have a fear because mostly it's a fear of rejection, right? And so if you just think of the worst case scenario that could happen is someone will be rude to you, shut the door in your face. It's not that bad. And if you just show up, and you're also their fear of not getting the sale, maybe. So failure, fear of rejection, fear of failure. Those are usually the two top fears. So I just say, show up authentically as you, with no expectations of what's going to happen. And when you do that, beautiful things happen. And so I just show up there to be truly of service.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is I have made friends that who I've never done business with to this day, but we meet for coffee. We had 2-hour talk on the porch the day I knocked her door.
How cool is that?
It was a God thing for sure. It was just, it was, but I went
love that.
into it very open to whatever experience. And then oftentimes it's no, I don't need to sell my house, but gosh, I have this leak in my basement. I don't know what to do about it or who to call. And I'm like, I know somebody. I got a guy. And so we make connections, or they know me. I mean, I ran across somebody I was friends with years and years ago, and her daughter knocked the door, and I knew her from social media. I was like, Cindy, I know you're in there. It's Anna, And anyway, we reconnected. And so I think, if you just show up in everyday life, whether you're door knocking or just going about very open to who am I going to meet and what could possibly come of it, whether it's for business or not, it just seems to attract good things into your life.
It does. I agree with that. And one of the things in the mastermind we did was rejection.
Yeah, that's right.
You remember that?
Yeah.
It was a good one. It's like, it's such a deep thing,
Yes.
and all humans have it,
Yeah.
and, you gotta, I shouldn't say you gotta, but if you can figure out how to sort of harness it a little bit, it makes good things happen.
Yes.
Because fear of rejection will make you do bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
Or avoid good things.
Right.
And avoid good things, right? So if you can sort of get it on there and be like, hey, I'm just meeting somebody. I'm going to, and if I can do some business, cool, it's kind of what I'm here for. But just talking to somebody and meeting people. And I love meeting people and finding out how interesting they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, what a blessing. I always think, what a blessing on my life today.
Yes.
I ran into this cat, and this dude was like, what?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did I meet this guy? And, he's just incredibly fascinating, tons of stuff.
Right.
And it can be anything, old, young, man, woman, it doesn't matter. I mean, people have interesting stories, and somehow it just comes out in some funny ways like you're talking about, and it's like, wow. And I think that's a God thing. I think there's like some kind of something he has put that ties us together.
Yeah.
It's just in the ethos, and it's somehow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, and a lot of times it's even like if you can not have the expectations, it's way better.
Right.
But a lot of times, even if you have expectations, it's 180 the other way. Like there's times I've met people and I'm like, I ain't talking to that guy.
Yeah.
Look at that cat.
Yeah.
No, I don't know part of that. And then I start talking. I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this guy's like amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You did what?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, how'd you end up looking like this? You know what I mean? Like, what I mean? But you get comfortable, and and you do. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm like this because of whatever or something, and you're like, dang, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I met a doctor the other day. I was doing a VA doctor. I had to go to the VA doctor for a audiologist.
Yeah.
And I get a little nervous. I get white coat syndrome. So I'm like, okay, great. I go in there, and the guy opens the door, and he calls me, and I go in. He hands me a mask, and I hate masks.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay. But I was in a doctor's office, but I'm not jerky about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, whatever. I'll put it's your deal. So
Yeah.
I put it on, and I'm like, I go back and talking to him. Come to find out, this guy's a doctor, but he was an enlisted 12B, which is a combat engineer in the Army.
Oh, wow.
Now, he wasn't airborne, but he was a combat, and we went to the same boot camp and all this.
Wow.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
served as a combat engineer. You blow up stuff. I was
Yeah.
a demolition specialist,
Yeah.
so we would blow up stuff in the same way, and of course that affected me. But he knew that,
Yeah.
and we talked. I bet we talked for 30 minutes. It's supposed to be 30, so I messed his whole schedule up, I'm sure.
Right.
But he was just as engaged, you
Yeah.
know, and he's like, "What? I don't ever get combat engineers in here."
Yeah.
And then when I told him 12B, he goes, "I was a 12B," and I'm like, "Really?" And I thought, well, he's a doctor. Was he? I was like, well, first of all, you're a doctor,
Yeah.
so how were you? But then it was prior, so he was enlisted, and he got out, used his GI Bill, went to college, went to
Nice.
medical school, and did all that. But if
Yeah.
that's it, you know, it's like, I just talk to people, just
Right.
communicate, just live your life, you know.
Right.
And that's all I was doing. I was like,
Yeah.
cool. And then before you know it, you're like, oh yeah, you probably should get back to it.
Yeah.
I love those moments, right?
Yes.
You'd forget about, you're just living your life and
Right.
interested and engaged with people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Staying
Making-
open.
Making those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and all that we're talking about, which is cool. I mean, we sort of went down this little rabbit hole talking about this, but what's the best leads, the best business? And if you're just living your life, it's your sphere. And all of a sudden that was part of your sphere because it's
Yes.
just a natural organic thing.
Yes.
You know, and I love that. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
You
like
know?
that boils down to the grassroots marketing is just talking. Because like for me, I'm not a big self promoter.
Right.
But you give me your business, I will promote you so hard.
Yeah.
So just talking to people about what I do and like you get me your stuff and I will promote the heck out of you.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna make your business succeed. I don't want to promote me. It's not
Yeah.
about me. Like I want to promote you.
That's
so let's
awesome.
talk. And then there's people like, wait, you do marketing?
Yeah.
I thought you worked at the hospital. I'm like, yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
I got out of there.
Yeah.
Now I'm here and look at me now.
Right.
But like, I want to help you. So like,
Yeah.
let me help you. And it's not even about business sometimes of like I've got a friend that owns a business. I'm like, I'm going to promote them. Like
Yeah.
I want to make them successful.
I would say it's rarely about business. I think that's just probably how you're wired.
Yeah.
And so that's how you come at it instead of being just the full like frontal marketing, blah, blah, blah. You're just more of like, hey, let me
'Cause-
help this person. Let me help that person.
I'm not a bit like I didn't go to business school. Like I don't
Yeah.
have a marketing degree.
Right.
I have an exercise science degree. It's like
Get on the treadmill and I'll tell you
Right?
what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, let's get your VO2 max. Like, no, we're going to talk about font colors.
Right, right.
Font colors and packages.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I'm not like a marketer at heart. I'm not
Yeah.
a businesswoman at heart.
Right.
I married an entrepreneur. I married
Yeah.
a guy who's like, oh, I'm going to work for myself, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you do you, boo. And now he's like, look at us, we're working together. Like
on.
we've got this
And
together.
he's very good and he's very
And
smart.
And I never dreamed that would be me. I'm
Yeah.
always like, yeah, I'll just be working for somebody else. And
Yeah.
and then slowly he's like, that's not the life you want for yourself. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Ain't
I
that
didn't know I
amazing?
could do it.
Yeah.
So
I think staying open to
great.
that and I think, you know, you kind of married well, I would say, because it's like-minded. You know what I mean? Like you didn't even know you were that way.
yeah.
And you probably did what most people do is like, I gotta, which by the way is another topic, but I think most people come out of like high school and it's like, you gotta go and pick what you're gonna do for the rest of your
Oh my
life.
gosh.
Freaking high
I
school.
changed my mind like 5 times.
Well, yeah, of course
within
you
the
did.
first year. I
Yeah.
mean,
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
You know, you're a
Right.
kid.
Yeah.
I think unless you were absolutely like my daughter knew from a little girl she wanted to be a baby nurse.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
that's sweet.
And it never changed through her
Yeah.
whole life.
Nice.
So cool. You got to go to college for that.
Yeah.
Got to get your nursing degree and all that. And that's what she's done, and she's loving it. And she,
Yeah.
so I think some people are wired that
Yes.
way, but the vast majority, I didn't realize until, and I knew I always wanted to be in construction and stuff. So I kind of thought that. And as I
Yeah.
coached kids, I coached softball, football, you know, booster clubs and wrestling and all that. Come to find out, getting to know these kids, no, none of them knew what they're doing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you kids? And they're
Yeah.
like, "Man, nobody knows what they want to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Come to find out, it's like rare. Every now and then you got
Yeah.
kids that really know. So
yeah.
But
I asked
yeah.
my son, I'm like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think he was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. And he's like, I want to be a dad.
yeah.
I'm like, but what do you want to do for work? He's like, a dad.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll
So
be a stay-at-home dad.
I mean, even now he's just kind of like, I don't know, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
that's cool. Let's just keep working hard. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah. And do what you
Because
do.
you're not
what you
going to be a
gotta
pro athlete.
do. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, bless your little heart.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick something at some point, son.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's the truth. I mean, how do you know? You know, if you don't
Yeah.
know already, and most people don't, like you, and you're like, well, this looks like a good thing. I'm interested in it. You switch several times, but then at the end of the day, you end up with Justin. You're like, yeah, let's do something.
Yeah.
You know, let's do this together. And oh my God, this is cool. This is fun.
And we pair well. Like, he's very technologically minded. Like, he's like, you know, this is this, and this is how
Yeah.
this works. And he's like, but I don't know what fonts look good together. Help me. So
Which is
I'm
great.
creative,
Yin
and
and-
he's
or yin and
technical.
yang, yeah.
And we come together, and I'm like, hey, how do you word this? Or like, what does CSS? What does this mean? I'm
Yeah.
like this morning, I was like, what does this mean about email market? Like, what are we integrating here? And he's like, oh, that's the demarcation. So blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ugh. All right, well, did you do that for our accounts? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll just keep on making email signatures.
Yeah.
Well, and that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
That's yin and yang. That's what you
Yeah.
want to do.
And it's great.
I can attest for that because
Yeah.
we worked with him on some Facebook marketing campaign that captures and goes into a funnel
Oh, yeah.
and blah, 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 and does all. And I'm like, oh, what? A funnel?
Yeah.
Like oil?
Yeah.
What are you talking about here? Yeah, but it's like that. But this goes into it. And I'm like, bro, I'm just going to pay you to do what you do.
You do that.
Yeah. Some
Yeah,
of
like
some
you.
of that is kind of like, okay, but how can I make it pretty for you?
Yeah.
yeah, right. And then
So I've got really good resources where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, wait, how does this? Okay, you tell me how this works,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make it functional,
Right
and,
on.
and pretty, and
That's
aesthetic,
absolutely
and
perfect.
matching, and brandy, and all that stuff. So,
that's a brilliant relationship because,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you who, and you get this is what I think of is Microsoft Windows. So y'all remember when there was just computers and you put floppy disk in them and you did all that stuff. So they were computers and they would do everything
Yeah.
that they do now. They would do stuff, all
Right,
that. They're
right.
doing they're faster and all
Yeah.
everything upgraded now. But they did the same things. But what they did was they made it user friendly and pretty. And we look at Windows and go, oh, now I see. It's like, what the hell is all this numbers and stuff? And some nerds like, oh well, you just go burp, 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 and it tells you that. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, there's no chance I'm going to know what to do, But
Right.
in Windows, which was the brilliant, if I could time travel, I'm going back and doing Windows. You know what I mean? Bill Gates is out of luck, and so, but it puts it in there, and you're like, oh, cool, file and email and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, useful like you do. So
Yep.
what a great relationship that
Yeah.
is.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, making it user friendly for people.
I find that most adults will say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Or I
Yeah.
would say it's probably over 50% of adults who graduated with a specific degree are now not doing that
true.
in their adult life.
True.
Yeah. So it's tough, but I think it is a beautiful thing when you are finally doing something that you
Yeah.
love. And so one day somebody asked me a question like, what's my favorite hobby? And I was like, real estate? I mean, I know it's my job, but it, like you said, my life is my life, and it's one of my favorite parts of my life. It happens to be how I make money,
I love it.
but I love doing it. So for
Right.
me, it's not, you never work a day in your life if you love what you're doing, and that is truly my life. Like I enjoy it so much, and when you love something enough, it's easier to do the hard things, So
For sure.
door knocking wasn't always easy for me. It was,
Yeah.
but I said in the beginning, do it scared, and I did. And
Right.
then the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so
course.
it got to the point where it became my comfort zone, and I got really good at it, really easy. It got really easy, but at the end of the day, I knew I wanted to do real estate for the rest of my life, so I had to do the hustle to make the money.
Right.
And now,
think
I
it's
love
cool.
everything about it.
Really good social media post, by the way.
Yeah.
Like real estate is my hobby.
Oh yeah.
There
Or a
you
good
go.
shirt, I don't know.
Yes, and this is why we have you. I would have never thought of
estate is
that.
my
Yeah,
hobby.
yeah,
Actually,
And
that
then
is
and then like a little
exceptional.
QR code on the back, so like people
Yeah.
don't have to be like
yeah.
creep up behind you and scan you.
That's a great idea.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. and
Very good.
You should do that.
Yeah, I will now.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll pay you a tip later. No.
Well,
Here's a little cash. No.
well, it's you're right. It's such a cool deal, and like you said, it's your life. I mean,
Yeah.
and I've been like that forever, and because I always knew what I wanted to do, and clients will hit you up whenever, and it's up to you. The one
Yeah.
thing you learn as you get older too is, like, people will push boundaries. A little different on real estate, but on the build
Yeah.
side, like they'll hit me up on weekends or whatever. But if I don't want to hit them back, I don't.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
understand, like, it's weekend. I hit him.
Yeah.
I just need to get it off my plate so I don't forget.
Right.
He'll get back to me when he does. And when you're younger and early on, you're like, oh, I got to get back to him right away. And I'm out. I'm out at dinner. Or I'm having drinks, or I need to do this or whatever. But I gotta do it, or I gotta
Yeah.
talk. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And you learn that later.
You
I
do.
think that's the great part of wisdom and getting older.
Yes.
Is finally you don't, and you get back to him like, yeah, thank you, sorry for sending it on the weekend. I'm like, that's no problem.
Right.
Just know I'll get back to you when I do. Sometimes on the weekend I get back, I'm like, I got nothing going on,
Yeah.
and I love what I do.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm cool,
Right.
no problem.
Yeah.
So
I got a text yesterday afternoon from one of my agents, and it was like, I don't know what this is. Like, this just popped up on my Facebook. Is this a scam? Like,
yeah,
and I responded back. I was like, no, this one's legit. Like, you should click that and go through the motions there. And
right
she's
on.
like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I didn't expect you to respond till tomorrow. I'm like, you just caught me at a really good time today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm in between church, baseball, and
right,
Right.
It's
So,
perfect timing,
yeah,
and you
this-
love what you do, so it's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because don't y'all know there's those people that's like, oh my God, I hate it, and I got to do this, and you're like, well, why live your life that way?
Yes. I
know?
agree. I agree.
I'm on the, like, I love Mondays. Like, some people are like, ugh, Mondays. I'm like,
Yeah.
I enjoy Mondays.
Yeah.
My kids are at school, and my house is quiet, and
She
it's
was
a
saying
good
that earlier.
reset.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
I was just
I've
saying that,
always
yeah.
enjoyed,
100%.
even when I was at the job that wasn't where I knew I was going to be for the rest of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed Mondays because I
Yeah.
got to be with people
Yep.
and
Yep, me too.
out. And
I literally thought
yeah.
that today. I was driving here. Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, Monday's one of my favorite days of the week. And I do this thing at church on Monday nights, and I love the people that I go and see, and it's just
Yeah.
like it just fills my cup up. And so I look forward to Mondays. It's one of my
Yep.
favorite days of the week for sure.
Me too.
And, yeah, and I jump back into business, and I think what you were saying about your time, it's if you don't respect your time, nobody else will.
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
did learn that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
And it was a client that ran me all over the place, including on Mother's Day, sucked my whole day up, and then ended up
Yep.
firing me.
Yep.
And so, and I had to say, well, what could I have done better in this situation? Like, what could I claim as my part? And one of the things I think it was I did not set boundaries for my time.
Yep.
And therefore she did not respect it
Absolutely.
or me. And
That's
so
true.
from then on, I was like, that's it. I'm not doing that again. And so what I found is people respect me and my time more.
For sure.
And so when I have something important, like yesterday I was at a birthday party. I put my phone in my purse and I never picked it back up again for the full 2 hours and looked
Yeah.
at it. My family knew where I was, and that was that.
100%.
And and I've heard people saying this is so true. Nothing is going to burn down in your business in a
Right.
2 hour span of time. If your people are important, you need to make them a priority, and you don't need your phone like constantly texting.
That's
But I think you
100%
teach
right.
people how to treat you, and so it's important to.
I
set
think it
those
is
boundaries.
conditioning for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, like for you guys, people say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, it's a Saturday," because you've taught them that I
Right.
take time. I take time for my family,
Yeah,
and
right.
so they know that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No, I think that's absolutely
Yeah.
right. Well, God, this has been great, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean, just chatting,
Yeah.
and I don't know where we are on time. We're almost at an hour, but
Yeah.
so tell me something. What would you do? I want to move off the business stuff for a minute. I want to know what would be your favorite thing to do ever? Like if it's a vacation or just go do something. What is a box you want to do? Like, is there, man, and it's some big thing that you may not even ever get to do, you know? What would that be for y'all? And it could be anything. I mean, it could be like, I
have
want
something that I
to
can
rule
say.
the world, or I want to
Yeah.
go climb
Mine's
Kilimanjaro.
not huge, but it's one of my top bucket list goals for why I want to make a lot of money. It's really to give back. But one of the things is so between my husband and I, we have 5 kids, and they're all beginning to have husbands and significant others, and so we're multiplying.
Yeah.
And kids are coming into the picture, and so grandkids for us. But
you guys are populating Georgia like
yeah,
I did Kansas.
yeah, we're building it. So, but I want to be able to fund a 2-week vacation to Europe, and I don't know where. We'd all decide as a family for the entire family and all of their significant others and their kids and our parents that are still able to, and all expense paid trip.
Amazing.
And so this is something that was from the beginning when I, started my business. It's something I want to get to the point where I can just do that, fund that.
Yeah.
No problem. Like, hey guys, let's sit down and plan it. Let's go. Where are we going to go? Don't worry about a thing. We're funding it. And so that's one of my big things.
Where in Europe?
I don't know. So I would probably just be a family meeting, like, where do we want to go? My husband travels a lot for his work, so he knows, he's been to a lot of places, so he could
help guide
give
you
some
guys.
information. Yeah, I've been to a few places. I've been to France and Germany, but and then our daughter's been to Italy and Spain, I believe. So we'd all talk about it. So I don't know, but I definitely want to go overseas somewhere, some great big trip where we get to just, because all the kids are close. They all thankfully like each other. And so we could just all go together, and then really
like
have
a Home Alone deal.
Yeah.
Don't forget anybody.
Yeah, right. My youngest Jackson, he'll get left behind. So, yeah, so that's one of my top, and I know it'll be really expensive, but I think it will be so worth the memories and the time.
So that's cool. What I hear you say too is you just want to do it for the family and have you all together.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear you go, man, I want to go see this specifically and that specifically and this. It's just like I just want to take us all together to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So
that's it. You got a little Chevy Chase in you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
that's cool.
That's my big thing.
Speaking of that, that is one of my things I want to do. I don't know if it's my very favorite thing ever, but I want to go, and being a paratrooper, I want to go and do the World War II tour of Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, because like Sicily and Nijmegen and all these different places, they're drop zones at Fort Bragg that I used to jump into.
Yeah.
Stationed up there. So, and they're named after those places, Point du Hoc and things like that, or where the Rangers scaled the cliffs on D-Day. I want to do those. I want to go see all those things. I want to go to the cemetery in France, and
I went to the D-Day drop zone in Normandy.
You did?
That's why I was in Europe that time.
How was that?
Yeah, it was a big celebration. I was young, so I wasn't married to my former husband who was military.
Yeah.
We were just dating, and I went with a family friend of mine. I called him Daddy Dave. He was like a second dad, and he was former military, and he was in Vietnam. And so he goes every year. And so we stayed with a family friend of his in France.
Wow.
And it was really cool because it was like we were in their farmhouse in France, walked to the town for the butcher and the baker.
Was that amazing?
Yes, saw one of the famous churches that was part of
St. Mary Église?
I don't think it was that one. It was another one, but it was not the one that hung. I think
where
the guy.
He was hanging
yeah,
from the
not that
steeple?
one, but something. And so then we watched them because they bring in the 82nd Airborne, they drop them in. We watched that, and I remember meeting a soldier, and I was fascinated that he had the triple tabs. He was Delta Special Forces Ranger tab.
Yep.
I was like, wow, he's so cool.
Yeah.
But all the little kids, people have this negative stipulation that people in France don't like Americans, but in these towns where they impacted, the grandparents told the parents, told the kids, and so it was beautiful scene to see because all these little children would swarm the soldiers with little notepads, and they'd have them sign them.
That's incredible.
And they would just be so full of gratitude. They would take pictures, and they would give them a
cool.
pin, and they would be like, showing the pin. And I mean,
cool.
just the excitement because they kept that history alive through generations.
Right.
That these kids see these soldiers, and they really feel like they're meeting a celebrity.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing. I was like, man, it was a beautiful experience. And then they did this big banquet and had some of the original guys there. Of course, they were really old at the time, but this was 20 years ago. But they had them there, and they talked a little bit. And
oh my God,
it was the coolest experience. So definitely go on it.
I want to go
during D-Day because it was
D-Day.
moving.
That would be cool to time it and go then for sure.
Yeah, because they do a huge celebration.
Yeah, I know. I would have loved to have been on the detail, to go jump in. Because I remember they would, pick certain
like a lottery
or whatever. It's like a
yes.
lottery deal. I would have loved to go on and done that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was really cool. Really cool. So.
How about you?
Mine's travel related too. I want to go everywhere. Like
You do?
I would just want to take maybe not even a timeline. Just be like, you know what, today I'd like to go to Hawaii. I just really feel like going to Hawaii today and like drive myself to Hartsfield Jackson and get on a plane and go to Hawaii. Or like my family's from Scotland, generations back.
Yeah. Amazing.
Like I want to go to Clan Campbell Castle and like check out our family history, like get a little tartan and so like just kind of check out. I want to go everywhere. Like I want to take my kids. I want to be able to take them travel because I think like the coolest place in the world right now is Panama City.
Of course.
So I'm like, listen, y'all, there's way cooler places than Panama City. Okay, like Gulf Shores also cool, but this is like
still
low tier,
like low hanging fruit.
Like
awesome.
my youngest or my oldest is like we took him to Red Rocks Amphitheater out in Colorado, but he was 2.
Did you really?
So like he doesn't remember. He doesn't know how awesome it was. Like when we went, it was covered in snow.
Of course.
I mean, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's like, I've been to Colorado. I'm like, yeah, but you don't remember it.
Right.
Like I want to just be able to take my family places and do things where they're like, oh yeah.
Yep. For sure.
I think my other thing would be like to make enough money, not as a greedy thing, but to like root out corruption on a local level.
Oh, interesting.
Like be like, I know that this organization is operating on some corrupt principles here, and I want to make enough money to reverse
you're a crime
that.
fighter.
Oh, I have this like sense of justice inside me that I want to like root it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like, So I told Justin the other day, I'm like, man, could we just have enough money to like get rid of them?
Yeah.
And flip that organization to where it's profitable, to where it's beneficial, to where it's supposed to be, and like not for the glory of them.
Right.
To where its original purpose is stated.
Like, give me an example of an organization.
Well, the government. I'm just kidding.
The whole government.
Okay, so like,
Can I overthrow it?
I mean,
we're not gonna
that's a whole nother.
we won't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So like, so I would think like, just let's say you have a local organization, and their primary purpose is to help kids learn piano. Okay?
Gotcha.
But then the guy who runs it is like jacking up prices like way high to where all these people who are like, oh, I can't afford that, you know. Just the kind of minor corruption or like misappropriation of funds is a big one for me. Yeah. I don't like
Seriously
it when
inefficient.
People or he's like, yeah, I'm going to pay my teachers like minimum wage even though they deserve way more. And this is a 501c3. Like,
gotcha.
I'm going to pocket the rest of this for me.
It's supposed to be a nonprofit and he's profiting.
Right.
Yeah, big from it. Yeah.
So just that kind of stuff. Like
that is a big deal. Well, so one of the deals, like I like Wounded Warrior now, but I didn't like them initially, and they got dinged real hard because there's organizations out there that rate nonprofits, and they look at what they're like. Tunnel to Towers is one of the best. Yeah. It's got such a low admin fee that they keep so little of the funds. Most of it goes. Yeah, you can go and check all these places, and Wounded Warriors was high. They were. And they're veterans and everything, and they have their hearts in the right place, but they're banking, right? They're getting all these donations, and they're banking, and all of a sudden people are like, you know what? You should make money because that's your job and you're running it, but you know what? We're not trying to make y'all rich. We're trying to help people. Go to a for-profit place.
Because like just at the heart of things, when something has a purpose, like youth sports, big one. I'm involved in a lot of different youth sports things.
Sure.
And when people look at me as a coach, they're like, oh, I quit coaching because the parents are so bad. Yeah. And like, for me, it's not the parents. I've been blessed with amazing parents of the kids that I coach.
Right.
It is the other adults that are involved in the leagues that ruin it for the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, it shouldn't be like that. Like, you should be able to have an organization and run it to where it's beneficial for all the kids, where they're learning and growing and able to play and have all these different experiences.
That's interesting. So I think you got to just figure out how to put something together that kind of like a watchdog kind of deal or something. Maybe I don't know. That's interesting.
Like, I'm gonna root it out.
You root it out. I'll invest.
There's ways you can do it on a very low level, I guess. My dad is a huge advocate for anybody who is oppressed, if you would will, I guess
Yeah.
is the right word. So he's a part of an organization called Move to Amend. They're specifically focusing on this Freedom of Speech Act that government uses to their benefit to keep their donations secret and not be transparent about who's giving them money. And so a lot of corruption is going on there.
Of course.
And he wants this Move to Amend, but it's huge. And so they do meetings. And so my dad's just a regular, he was a computer guy before he retired. But now they march on Washington, they talk to senators, they knock on doors.
Fascinating.
They do a ton, and they're making movement. I mean, and so I
Organic,
I
like
feel
you said earlier about marketing.
Right.
It's the same deal in this realm.
There's
right?
ways to get involved at the ground level. I mean, for sure, without even
How
any
cool
money.
is
I mean,
that?
it's just unfortunate when you have something that's good
Yeah.
and someone sees it as an opportunity to glorify themselves
Yeah.
rather than the purpose
Align
of
their
the organization's mission.
Oh, y'all understand.
So for
that.
me,
it's
I'm
good
like,
and evil.
I'm
It's
like,
good and evil. And what side are you going to be on?
I'm like,
know?
you let the rotten fruit in, and now the whole organization
right.
stinks.
That's right.
So
Well, he's a fighter. You're a quiet fighter. She's like,
I'm
Yeah.
like, it's really been
Superhero.
lit here lately. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, if you figure out something, if you put something together, I'll talk to you about investing in something
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
think it's a great deal. I love these watchdog deals because honestly, they do matter because that wounded warrior example I'm talking about, they straightened out and now
Yeah.
they're really good. They got their percentage of their admin down and all that and kind of got in line with what they're supposed to do. I mean, they
Yeah.
were fortunately good enough guys that were like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's figure this out. And, good organization. But I think that's interesting to me. That's super
So I'm like-
interesting.
Just kind of one of my
Crime fighter.
my side hustle.
I know. Crime fighter. I mean, like Superwoman.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, you said go get in your car and just go somewhere like Hawaii. Like I just
Yeah.
want to go do that. So, all right, I'm gonna tell you something that's funny. So I came with this idea. We were just sitting around with some friends in our neighborhood one night and just having drinks and dinner or whatever. And I said, hey, I got an idea. I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but hear me out. And they're like, well, we think you're crazy already, but go ahead. We'll hear you out. And I'm like, all right. So I said, let's just pack a bag, no questions asked, go down to the airport, and the next flight out, let's go. And they're like, not a chance. Where are we going? How do I know what to pack? And I said, you don't get to figure that out. You got to live. Just live on faith.
Yeah.
I mean, pack something. I mean, as long as you got your, toothbrush, your medications, and some clean underwear and stuff, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Wherever we're going, there's going to be a Walmart or something around, if we need a hoodie or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but throw something in the thing. And like, how do we not? I said, we don't know where we're going. You don't know how to pack.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
oh my God.
I do too.
Well, and check it out. So most everybody's like, no way, we got a plan and this and that. And I said, nope, that is not the point of it. Well, do we this? And we said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll do a veto because at the time we were doing it, I think it was back in like the COVID and all that stuff. We were coming out of that. And remember when there was all these riots like in Detroit and Portland and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not going there,
Yeah.
And so we can veto that, but you can't just veto it for silly reasons. It's got to be a real solid reason. Everybody, gets to say, yeah, that ain't a veto, or okay, fair enough. And so we actually did it. Well, us and another couple, yeah, we did it.
Oh,
We went down to the
cool.
airport, walked up, and it was so funny. So we just had, our bags and like our carry-on, and it was just for the weekend. And I think it was a Thursday, so we did Friday, Saturday, and came back Sunday.
Yeah.
And it could have been a Friday. Might have went down Friday. And then, but whatever, we went down and went up to the ticket guy. And he said, all right, you got your tickets? We said, well, no. I know you're going to think this is crazy, but where's your next flight to? And we said, there's a ticket amount. So I think we started off, so it's got to be 250 or less. I think we bumped it to 300 because there was nothing really for, 250 or less. Yeah. So I think we bumped it to 300. And, it had to be like sort of regional. We weren't going to go to Hawaii, or anything. And so we ended up getting a flight to Memphis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
Did you see like the ducks?
yeah,
Is that where the ducks
that's
are?
where we stayed. So check it out. Here's the cool thing
Yeah.
about it. No expectations, no nothing. Got on a plane, went out there, had no place to stay, no nothing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. You're just flying by the seat of your pants. All right, cool. So we get out there, and the other guy was like, you know what? Let me call the Peabody. And I'm like, man, the Peabody, yes, it's going to be expensive though. So we're probably going to stay in a comfort choice or
Yeah.
whatever it is, And he was like, let me check and see. And he said, no, man, they got rooms. And it was their anniversary, so they upgraded them to a suite for the regular room price. And he goes, yeah, and by the way, my sister's with us. He goes, no problem. We'll put them in a suite right across the room from y'all.
Wow.
Well, it really wasn't his sister.
Yeah.
So it was a little laugh.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, we wanted to be together. So he's like, I was like, dude, right on, man. How
That's
cool is
so
that?
cool.
So we there, saw the ducks, talking about meeting people, met the duck master, whatever his name
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Literally brought tears to our eyes.
Wow.
Talking to him up on the rooftop, and this guy
Yeah.
he was that guy. We met him, he's like, this has been my calling. I knew it from a little kid.
Wow.
You know, God blessed me to be here. I love talking to y'all. I love talking to anybody that's interested, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Wow. And this guy was so special.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you, what? Calling to be a duck wrangler or
Yeah.
whatever you are?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man. He said, I just knew this is what I was supposed to do. And this brings so much joy to people and joy to the world.
Yes.
And them little ducks, toot, 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 toot,
Yeah.
toot, you know, and they go in the elevator and do their
Yeah.
thing. He takes care of them. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So talking about your trip of getting to go somewhere, I would tell you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To do it, you know. But we did it sort of we don't know where.
Right.
It's just we're going to have to work it out, you know, and
So, like,
throw
you-
us hand signals or whatever.
You talked about the ducks.
Yes.
So like thinking back, like my dream job as a little girl would have been like dolphin trainer.
Interesting.
It's like, you know, when you go to the Georgia Aquarium, you go to
Yeah.
the dolphin show
Yeah.
and they pick somebody to the crowd. I'm like, I will fight a little kid to get to be the dolphin trainer. So I'm
You're
like,
going knocking kids out of the
I'm
way.
like, I have pushed a kid in a petting zoo before.
Yeah.
I'm like, move it. That's my goat to pet.
Yeah. That's cute.
Don't even think about it.
So
Yeah.
like swimming, I swam with dolphins one time in
Really?
Mexico, and it was
Oh, wow.
so cool.
Yeah.
So like a dolphin trainer would be so
Yeah.
much fun to do.
I get
like
that.
just like
I
Yeah.
get that.
That's awesome.
Like,
yeah.
I'm talking to them.
Yeah,
They know
yeah.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when I go hunting or fishing or something like that. I mean, everybody has something. It's funny. A lot of people don't even know what it is, but it is something that's spiritual. Like if I'm hunting or fishing, it doesn't matter. You know, it's not about killing or catching or any of that.
Yeah.
It's just being out.
In nature.
I am at church. I am so happy at church. I'm like, wow. Getting up and being cold and, you know, or being hot, if it's hot during like hunting season, getting the stand and then watching, it is the most amazing transformation to me. And maybe I'm just simple minded or whatever, but you're in there, you're in the dark, you get to your stand, you get in there and you're sitting there and the sun starts coming up and birds start chirping and some birds chirp and they're different birds and different
Yeah.
sounds and it starts coming up, you know, and then you see different things, you know, and it could just be anything, deer, raccoon, whatever, you know, it's just the sun is amazing coming up and
Yeah.
it changes how it looks. Like a sunrise changes, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
sunset. It's just spiritual to me. I mean, I pray, I am so, you know, fulfilled and content and happy right then.
Yeah.
It is incredible. So that's probably like that for you,
yeah.
you know. when
Like
you're-
I love animals.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would really like a pet raccoon.
Oh,
Would you
they're
really?
cute,
Like they're
though.
little
With the
cute
little
little
paw- little
talons. Like,
hands?
Yes,
yeah.
the little
They're
They
just
got
so
hands.
cute.
I
And-
agree.
And they like
They're
yeah.
cute.
So like on social media, like that's a lot of my algorithm is
yeah.
like raccoons.
Or the little finger monkeys. Have you ever seen those? Oh my
The
God.
what?
They're finger monkeys. They're so
They're, like,
little they wrap
tiny.
on your finger.
You're kidding me.
They're really, and people have them as pets. I don't know if they're illegal or not, but
Is that how big they
they are
always get?
literally as tiny. Yep, that's their full grown
What?
size. They're like a little,
What?
they fit on your finger.
You
and
can
wrap
stick them in
around.
your pocket.
You got to look it up. They're so cute. They're like
Finger
teeny tiny
monkeys.
finger monkeys.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're very tiny.
Yeah,
That's
that is one
cool.
of my lists, like petting different animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a big cat is like my next pet.
Really?
Not like own
Like a
pet. Like I'm
Maine
not going to be like
Oh,
Joe Exotic, but
Or Mike Tyson.
yeah.
yeah, Mike
No
Tyson.
tigers.
Yeah, I'm not going to like own a big cat, but
Yeah.
I would like to like give it a good pet.
Yeah, right on.
Or like just a little snuggle.
Yeah.
A very vicious snuggle.
Be
Yeah.
careful, you know. Remember
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy?
Yeah, well,
Right.
I watched the Tiger King
Oh
stuff
yeah,
too.
the
so,
Tiger
like,
King stuff. Wow, man.
Yeah, but I
No, I
enjoy
know.
petting animals and
Well, talking about like I know that's in my algorithm too. I watch people and I love when the people, they come back and for whatever reason they raised them or something.
Yeah.
And they come back and the tigers are like, "What's up?"
Yes.
He's just
Right.
it's
Me
like
too.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Have you seen the ones where people teach their dogs to talk through the buttons?
Yes.
So like
Yes.
they have all the buttons.
The paws and they touch
Hilarious.
it.
Like the most recent one I saw was like the mom taught the dog buttons and all the dog pushes is dad. So it's like dad, 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 dad. She's like, I taught you how to talk and all you ask for is your dad.
That's funny. That'd be my dog.
I saw one where the dad said, go get me something. Go get me water or a drink or something, and went down and did it. And she's like, no, go tell him to get it himself. And he hit the bitch button. It was hilarious.
Ah, that's awesome. That'd be your talking machine. It would have a cuss word.
It would. And he took off and run upstairs.
That's
and
funny.
Mom ain't playing.
Right.
No.
It was hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Sorry.
My dogs would just be like food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food,
Treat.
Food.
Yeah.
Treat.
Yep.
Treat. That would be my dog.
That'd be mine.
Because
too.
I mean, they already tell us when they need to go outside. They run to the door, they hit their face on the blinds, and then they turn and look at you like, I know you heard that.
Yeah. That's funny.
Let me out.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things on social media is watching those like Three Stooges, the commentary and the sound effects of people
Oh, yeah.
fighting and stuff, and then the cats and boots and
Yeah.
the purring cats and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like social media gets a bad rap sometimes.
It
And
does.
I know I've told you about this kind of like, but social media is what you make it.
True.
So like
Yeah.
True.
you curate your own experience on social media. So
Yeah.
like if you're following people and you start having like those negative emotions after, you got to unfollow those people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like you follow what brings you joy, what
Yep.
brings you education.
Yes.
And you have to know your limits too. So like
Sure.
I enjoy a good home improvement project, but if my whole timeline starts becoming home improvement projects,
It's time
I
to-
get overwhelmed and I'm like, there's so much to do in my house. I got to start looking
Back
at
off.
animals again.
Yeah.
Like, bring me back my
Big
raccoons.
cats.
Yeah.
Big cats. Raccoons.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you curate your experience.
Yeah.
So like, and the more you watch something, the more it pops up. Like
True.
I watched one video the other day and it was like how to make a book on Canva to put into Kindle publishing. I was like,
Oh.
I kind of want to make my own journal or my
Yeah.
own agenda because I'm so
Cool.
picky about my planners.
Sure.
I'm like, what if I just made my own and like published it and then just bought it on Amazon? Like,
Pretty amazing. You
I
think
mean,
of
I don't
that.
know that. And I watched one video, and then the rest of it was like side hustle you didn't know about on Amazon. Side hustles, 50 side hustles.
It's your algorithm now,
And I'm
huh?
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to know about any more side hustles. Like, I don't have time for a side hustle. I just wanted to make a planner.
Yeah.
That's all. So it is what you make it, and,
Yeah.
and you have to have that balance of
Makes sense.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like
And when to say when.
yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get wrapped up on the reels.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I have like limits on myself. I'm like, you do not watch reels in bed. Like when you lay
Oh,
down
that's
at night, you
yeah.
do not watch reels,
Right.
or you will
Smart.
never go to sleep.
sleep.
Smart.
Because it just keeps your brain like going.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, so you can take a real break here. It sounds like a drug. I'm like, you can have your reels.
Well, it's a
after lunch.
dopamine hit, right?
For
I mean,
sure,
literally
yes.
in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many studies coming out now about like kids.
Oh, I know.
And like
Well, and their
I would like when
attention
you know
span,
when they
too.
came out with this whole like, oh, my kids don't do screen time. I'm like, my kids got to have a little bit of screen time.
Yeah, of course.
We were the tablets at the restaurant parents. I didn't want to be that, but you know,
Yeah.
at times you're like, I just want a peaceful meal
right, right.
without my kids throwing
Well,
ketchup packets at each other.
I love that it's honest and also when in Rome, right? And you just got to
Right.
figure out how to navigate
Right.
through it. You cannot deny your kids. We were
Right.
that way with phones for our kids, and we're like, how do we do it? And every one of them have phones. I'm like, well, they're getting iPhones. That's because I don't want my kid to be the weird kid. Sorry,
Well,
I
and
just
it's
don't.
about balance, and we have to teach our kids
Yeah.
that in general, whether it's video games, phones, or something else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be about balance, and I feel like
for sure.
and so that way when they go to college and you're not monitoring them, they're not spending all of their time when they should be studying on video games. You know, it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
okay, well, at home, mom gave me 2 hours a day.
Right.
I probably, anyway, my daughter does that. I mean, when she's a freshman in college, and she time blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a real estate thing that I taught her, but she time blocks her day.
Yeah.
And allots time for things that are time sucks, like,
Right.
social
Which is
media.
good mental breaks, I think, and if you do it the right way, so it's
Right.
not, yeah,
Right.
for
Right,
sure.
and it
But
can
yeah,
be beneficial if you do it right. But like,
Yeah, because we started noticing, like, my youngest, we were like, oh my gosh, he's like a little vampire. Like, if you take his tablet, he like morphs into this creature.
Right.
So we're like, I hid the tablets.
Yeah.
They came out, like, they found them. They found them in the cabinets this weekend.
Right.
And he was like, Mom, my tablet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, you can play a game for 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
And then, like, the 20 minutes was up, and he's like, I need 5 more minutes. And I'm like, all right, tablet's gone. Like,
Yeah, that's
nope,
it. You're
not-
jonesing for it. That's a good sign that you don't
like-
need it. Yeah.
Right.
You gotta check.
we do social media detoxes in the summer because
Oh.
kids forget how to have fun without
Sure.
without a device.
100%.
And so we send them to a sleepaway camp in the woods called Camp Glisten. I highly recommend it if no one knows about it. It's
What is it called?
Camp Glisten,
Glisten.
Glisson.
Okay.
It's been around for over 100 years.
Wow.
It's a phenomenal Christian camp. Now, it's a Methodist Christian camp, but they're not teaching Methodist religion. It's more just a God thing.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
non-denominational
yeah, all
kinda
melting
deal.
pots of religions.
Sure.
There, and it's not a lot of Jesus stuff. It's more outdoorsy things. And so, needless to say, they're completely unplugged, so there are no devices.
That's
and
awesome.
so, when they go there for a whole week, when they come home, we just do a week of detoxing, basically no electronics
Cool.
whatsoever, and very limited TV, because at this point they're really excited. They've been making their rope things and their
Just
bow and
extend
arrows.
that time.
Yeah, and so it's just like just go
That's
and,
awesome.
and do, because I find that if they do too much electronics, they forget, right?
yeah.
They forget.
course.
I'm so bored. What am I going to do now? Like,
Of course.
I'm like, hey, there was a time when I was a kid. We didn't have
Right.
any of this, and
Right.
we had to figure out how to have fun without
Right.
without
When
a
I was your age,
tablet.
internet came in the mail.
Yeah, right.
Right. That's
But
true.
there's always the big bad. Of my parents, it was the TV. Like, you're
Of
going to rot
course.
your brain
Right.
out, right? There
Of
was
course.
that
Don't
quote.
sit so close.
And my dad
Yeah.
gave me
Yeah.
one. Yes, don't sit so close, and it's so bad for you. And I get 1 hour of TV a day. Like, they
Yeah.
were really strict about it. But so I feel like there's in every generation there's
It's moderation,
something.
and there is in
There
every
is.
generation something.
Right, and when
Yeah.
you don't allow it, then the kid just wants it 10 times more.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they do get out of your house,
True.
what are they going to do? They're probably just going to go crazy over whatever it is.
It's true.
So I think you're
It's
right.
like we
Balance.
watch reels together. Like, I'll bring my boys, and I'm like, they call them funny videos.
Uh,
We watch
yeah.
funny videos.
Yeah.
It's like, I've also had to introduce them to like AFE.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
you guys, like, check out this thing on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what we used to watch
Which
as
is
kids.
great.
We'd have to
Yeah.
wait until Friday night
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
for TJIF or
Yes.
whatever. And,
Yes,
like,
TJF.
Not just bam,
And-
pull it up right then.
Yeah.
and creepy Bob Saget on
Yeah. Yeah.
in his little living room.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's funny.
So yeah, they enjoy it, and I have a little folder saved. So if I come across something they'll like, I'm like, I'll save that and we'll watch it later.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, we have a limit. Like, we're watching for 10 minutes and then we're done.
You know, what's funny is I was just thinking when we were talking about that, it's like everything in moderation, and it's probably good for us too. Like talking about
Yes.
work,
Yeah.
you know, it's good for work too. It's like
Yeah.
work, you know.
Right, because I have had times in my life where I thought, oh my God, I'm like almost like, because I do love it so much, I can tend to get a little
Yeah.
bit addicted to it. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, man, I've spent 80
little
hours a week on
obsessive.
work, and do I really need to do that? I don't think that's necessary. Like, my family needs more of me, like, but yeah, you can get like, I can get very hyper focused on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in life, everything's balance.
True.
Everything's balance.
100% true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it was great talking to y'all.
Yeah. You
Thank
too.
y'all for joining me.
Sure.
Definitely.
And yeah, hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, good. Thanks for joining Vibe and the Drop Zone, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.